Hello, Vallivue community. I'm here today with Marjorie, or Margie Koenig, here today. She's a 1971 Vallivue High School grad, and her family's been part of the Vallivue community for a long time. And specifically, the reason why we brought her in is because when we built Summitview Middle School when we started building it in 2019, everyone started to make a big deal that just across the road there was a site with a barn, and it had something to do with the Civil War. And we're here to see what the true history is on that. So thank you so much, Margie, for joining us and sharing this story with us. Can you tell us a little bit about what made this barn so special, or maybe not so special?
Yes. So this is a wonderful barn. It's still standing, and it is at the corner of Marblefront Road and Smead Parkway. And it has been rumored that this barn was used in the Civil War to house the cavalry. This is not true. The barn wasn't built until about 1919, so it was even after World War I. The barn is special in that it's 150 feet long, 75 feet wide, and 75 feet tall. And that height allows for lots of hay to be stored in that barn. And on the outside of this tall central area is space for cows or horses to be tied up, or for places for them to sleep. My dad always kept straw, loose straw, in the eastern side of that barn, and his cows were very pampered. It was enough that my mom always said, "Your dad is married to the cows." It was enough to keep him occupied morning and evening, milking all the time, and providing us with milk. Another interesting thing about that is this was an era where we didn't have a bulk tank to store the milk. And so he would put the milk in milk cans and carry them to the drain ditch to keep them cool.
Wow. Yes, so this is very different from what we would read on this historical pamphlet.
Yes,
could I read
it
this
is,
to
yes.
our community? So it says Historic Barns of Canyon County, and there's a bunch of barns in here, and specifically yours, Margie, says, the 116th Cavalry kept their horses in this English gambrel roof barn with lean-tos attached on all four sides. The 116th Cavalry. That sounds like a fact, a historical fact. So factual, in fact, we're going to say which cavalry? The 116th.
Right.
Where did this come from if it's
Wrong.
not quite accurate?
I'd like to know.
Okay.
Yes, because that definitely didn't happen.
Right.
And the great-granddaughter of the man who had this barn built is Rosemary Vassar Weaver, who was a 1965 graduate of Vallivue High School. And so she has looked at this information and said, no, absolutely not true.
Not true.
Not true.
However, this barn is interesting enough to warrant some real art here. Can you share a little bit about this beautiful piece?
So this piece was done by Helen No, who graduated in the later 1970s from Vallivue High School, and her name was Helen True. And she took a photo of this photo of the barn and did the drawing from this photo.
Gotcha. It's a beautiful piece. And I think even though it's not related to the actual Civil War, as some historians have claimed, it still captures the history of the Vallivue community.
Yes.
It's the agriculture area, we've got barns, and we're trying to take care of our own people with these types of structures, right?
There's one more thing that I'd like to say about the barn.
Yes.
It was a great place to play in as a child. And my dad always had baled hay on the western half and chopped hay on the eastern half. And he would always say, don't even get near that chopped hay. If it falls on you, it will smother you. So we knew, as very small children, to stay away from that.
A matter of life or death?
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. And the baled hay was always stacked so that we could climb from the bottom all the way up to the top. On the north side of the barn, there are windows that look out toward the Boise Mountains. And we would climb up there, particularly when it rained, and listen to the patter of the rain on the metal roof.
Wow.
Yes, wonderful memories of that. And also we would be looking for kittens, because when the barn cats would have litters, they would be hidden in the stack.
Margie, I have a question for you. Would you trade those types of memories that you just described out in the barn, looking through the window at the beautiful mountain silhouette perhaps, and hearing the pitter-patter of the rain on the roof, looking for kittens, would you trade those type of memories for maybe looking at an iPad for hours?
Absolutely not.
Oh, okay. But the iPad has lots of colors.
Yes, yes, it does. And so connected with that.
What a different world, though, and
very different.
Much healthier.
Yes.
And, right.
And to go along with that, we went to a 2-room country school, which I would not trade that for anything.
So I have to ask.
Yes.
This is super interesting to me because for those who don't know, the Vallivue School District started out with 13 small schoolhouses scattered throughout, these agricultural lands in our neck of the woods, and then they came together and became a school district. First graduating class was in 1964. Margie, did you go to some of those schoolhouses?
I went to Marble Front.
Marble Front.
I went there 6 years.
6 years.
And my oldest sister went 8 years.
So what was it like going to that school?
Oh.
I love how you're glowing right now. This is fond memories. I love it.
Great memories of, we were such a close community. We were almost all farm kids. The kids who weren't farm kids, their parents put down roots in that community, and we went all the way through school with them. So, here and there would be a new student, but most of the kids it was very consistent of the students who were there. And so we all knew each other. Everybody knew where everybody lived. The parents knew each other. Parents were quite involved in what happened in the school. My mom was a substitute teacher, and so kids knew they couldn't get away with anything because she knew all the kids and she knew their parents.
Right.
And so it was a very close
Sounds like it was almost
community.
like extended family in a way.
Yes, yes. So we went to school with those kids all the way through then.
So at that time, it's not like there were schools built extremely close in proximity to homes. So you probably had to take a bus, or did your parents take you to school?
Well, I can honestly say I walked to school uphill, both coming and going, because there was a dip in the road. So it didn't matter whether I was walking to school or coming home, we walked uphill.
Right.
And it was about 1.25 miles, I think, to the school. There were no buses I'm trying to think when the buses started.
Right.
But the whole time I was in elementary school, we either walked or rode our bikes.
Right. You know what I love about that time is the grit. To develop that grit as a person was just baked into your childhood experience, Whereas now it's like, do we have buses running perfectly on time? Are they nice and warm and toasty for everybody as they go to school? Maybe just and for you it was like, doesn't matter what the weather it was, you're going up and down and it's gonna be over 1 mile each way.
Right,
and
right.
you got there because you got that grit.
Right.
And I love that. And I hope we get that for this generation too.
Yes. When the weather was really bad, we would be looking for a car or a pickup because usually one neighborhood mom would say, oh, those kids shouldn't have to walk home in the driving rain or ride our bicycles. So sometimes it would be a pickup so that we could put our bikes in the back. And
There's one good-hearted mom out there, hopefully, right? If that mom was
Yes.
sick, everyone was like, darn, I guess I'm just trudging to school.
yes, yes. And we had a mobile library that came to the school.
Were you a big reader?
Oh, our family was huge with reading.
Now let me ask you, because you sound like you're in love with reading. Would you trade reading for iPads?
Oh, no.
Oh, dang it, strike two.
And I even tried to do books on an iPad. I
want the real deal paper
I
book
like the
experience.
real book in my hand.
That's what I'm begging this generation to do as well, is hold the real deal paper, turn the page, fall in love, have that relational experience with that book rather than the glowing text and a flick of the finger kind of a thing.
But I will admit, I did not read as much as my sisters did, and I have 3 sisters.
Older?
They're all older. Yes. I am a pianist, and I would spend hours sitting and playing the piano.
You know, that's a different type of literacy, but that's literacy nonetheless.
Yes,
you're
it is.
You're decoding, you're learning, you're listening. Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
And so my mom says that I started playing piano as soon as I was big enough to climb up on the piano bench. I don't remember ever not having piano part of my life.
Okay, that's so great.
So I started taking lessons when I started first grade.
So you started early. Do you still play to this day?
It's my life.
And it's been your life because on all of this content here, there is some articles about you being featured as the pianist. You were in drama plays. So I'm curious, what was your experience like doing music throughout your Vallivue time?
I don't know if I could say it consumed me, but it was the huge aspect of my years at Vallivue.
What cracks me up about one of these articles here
Yes.
is another person who's really into music. If we zoomed in on here in the video, you'd be able to see a Mr. Curtis Griffiths. And for those who don't know, Curtis Griffith is a legend in the Vallivue School District as the band teacher at Vallivue High School. Won a lot of tournaments, very well respected. That is so great. I love seeing that history.
I was part of the madrigal group starting partway through my freshman year in high school. We performed all around Nampa and Caldwell for all kinds of meetings and got lots of exposure in the community for Vallivue musically.
You graduated in 1971,
Yes.
correct? And not only did you graduate in 1971, but you were also featured in the newspaper as a top 10 student.
Yes.
So not only were you passionate about music, but you actually took your studies seriously too. But what was it about academics that made you say, you know, this demands my attention. I'm going to prioritize this in my life?
We were expected in our family to do our best.
I love it.
And our father was a brilliant man, and he was in National Honor Society in high school. He graduated from Caldwell High in 1932. And it was just, there was never a question about performing well in school.
Right.
You just always did your best.
And then it led to this, obviously, if you're going to be top 10, you're also going to get your high school diploma, and I love it that you still have it.
Yeah, I think it's a little faded. It's been years in a box.
But the paper looks immaculate still. I mean, this is doing its job.
Yes.
What did you do after high school?
First, I went and started music to get a degree in music, and after a year, I said, I have to get away from this. I'm not sure that I can do this, because all my life music was so much a part of me, and I think I had to get away from it for a while to get perspective on where it was in my life.
I see, that's good.
And,
that's a wise move.
And my dad had always wanted one of us girls to be a nurse, so I did the nursing thing. And then I went back when I was 39 and finished my music degree.
Love it. Where did you finish your degree?
At the College of Idaho.
Oh, very good.
Yes.
So you kept it local.
I did, yes. And since then, well, I taught in public school for about 5 years.
Where did you teach?
And in Caldwell at an elementary school. And then the College of Idaho asked me to come back there and do accompanying and vocal coaching.
Oh, wow.
So I did that for close to 20 years.
Oh, wow.
And I still do music. I mean, it's,
So you still got to do your passion.
yes. And my husband and I have a dance band. So,
Oh, really?
yes, so we do that.
What does your husband play?
He plays bass guitar.
Very cool.
Yeah. And I do church music. So,
You're very active then.
yes.
I love that. So this whole conversation so far has been very wholesome. However, there is a little bit of drama in your history with Vallivue that you're associated with, and it's related to the previous graduating class in 1970, right? Your
Yes.
sister graduated. Would you mind sharing that story about the, I think it was the valedictorian speech, commencement
Yes,
speech?
yes.
Yeah, there's some drama here.
Yes. In my junior year, we had a wonderful teacher who had been at Vallivue. He was finishing his year to gain tenure. And he had allowed students to put together a newspaper. And this was Vietnam era and lots of tensions in our
So there already
country.
was a newspaper though, right? And
Yes, there was a newspaper called the Tearsal.
yeah, the Tearsal was a Vallivue High School newspaper, and this was an official
Yes,
Vallivue High School
Yes.
newspaper, recognized by the Vallivue Administration School Board.
yes,
They green-lighted, gave the thumbs up.
yes.
So what's going on in this situation?
So this was not sanctioned by the school.
Sanction, that's a great word.
And there were things in it that were controversial. Maybe that's the easiest way to say that. And the school board decided to fire the teacher who worked with the students to share their gut feelings about what was going on.
Vietnam?
Vietnam,
and anything
yes.
else?
I think
Maybe
that
civil
that
rights,
was
but that was a big
yes,
one. Yep.
yes, civil rights in Vietnam. And this teacher was wonderful because he encouraged students to think. That's what it was all about. And he used different models, newer concepts of teaching government and U.S. history, and we had mock governments to allow students to see how things really work. It wasn't just, here's what it says in the book, you need to learn this. It was, let's experience this.
Experiential learning.
Yes.
Like
And
project-based
so,
learning.
as a result of this whole newspaper that came out, the school board met and fired this wonderful teacher. And it was at the end of the school year, and students were rightly so upset about this, and parents were too. And they tried to fight the school board on this one particular issue, and the school board would not back down. So my sister was the valedictorian of this class of 1970, and she was one of the speakers, one of 3 speakers to write a speech. She wrote the speech and shared how she felt about this teacher being fired. And
So basically, she was practicing in that moment what he taught.
Yes.
Because he made a major
Yes.
impression on
Yes.
her as an educator.
And I remember her sitting at the kitchen table with my parents, and she said, please read this speech. Is this okay? And my parents said, if this is how you feel, you need to share this. They were very supportive of her speaking her mind. It wasn't the gushy, we've had a wonderful time here at school, and now let's see, we're taking a big step forward, and the things that you usually hear in a graduation speech. It was, this is what we've experienced, and you know, I think probably we will live with this experience colors who we are, and
Wow.
so the school board was very upset by this.
If I understand correctly, we have archived a lot of these commencement speeches.
Yes.
However,
And I understand that that particular speech was not allowed to be in the archive.
and then you being her sister, the next year,
The
and
next
you being
year,
a top 10 student.
yes, and we were meeting with the same advisor, and the advisor said, okay, we need to decide who wants to give speeches, and I started to raise my hand, and the advisor said, no. And I really didn't want to give a speech, but I wanted to see what the reaction was.
Oh, you were testing.
I was testing this person because I knew that the school board had been very upset. My parents were very adamant about you need to speak your mind, and what you believe in, you need to stand up for
Right.
it. My dad would read the Statesman newspaper in the morning, and he would read things aloud, and he would say, what do you think about this? And tell me why.
Wait a second. When I hear you talking about your father reading a print newspaper and then engaging you as a child to practice critical thinking skills,
Yes.
does that make you wish, gosh dang it, I wish I grew up eating cereal with an iPad in front of me watching cartoons?
Oh, no.
Strike three. Dang it, I'm
Yeah.
out. Okay. I love hearing that. That's music to an educator's ears. That's a beautiful, wonderful
Yes.
upbringing.
And whatever point we would take when he would read that to us, he would always take the opposite side. He was a debater in high school, and he wanted us to understand that you've got to be able to support your ideas,
Yeah.
what
Your
you're
convictions,
thinking.
your ideas.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes,
I love hearing that.
yeah. And my parents were just huge for education. It's,
Right.
yeah.
So, reflecting all this time afterwards, is Valley View a fond place in your heart? The community, your education experience?
It is. I've moved past that. I wouldn't want to go back, but it was a wonderful foundation upon which to build. And sometimes when I drive by the old Valley View High School, which
Right
I
up the hill.
do
Yeah.
coming into town, I think about standing on the northeast corner of the school looking out, and during those years I could find our barn. You can't do that now. There's
Right.
enough pollution and big buildings. And of course now there are the big buildings in front of it, and I'm sure D&B Supply
Right.
totally
Yes.
blocks the view of that farm.
It's amazing
But-
how much the landscape has changed.
Yes.
Well, in spite of the growth, our goal as a community in Valley View is to keep the culture at least the same, where people treat people correctly and value each other and appreciate each other and invest in each other. And hopefully we can
Yes.
keep that, because obviously it paid off for you.
Yes.
So, and my kids are in school right now, and I hope it pays off for them as well.
Yes, absolutely.
Margie, this has been so much fun. Thank you so much for bringing all of this in and sharing your
Yes.
memories. And is there anything else you'd like to share?
I don't think so.
Thank you for
it's good.
allow me to shake your hand.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.